Ever since cruise ships began to get more modern and less ocean liners were used as cruise ships, the public viewed them as unsinkable. However, as disasters not just the Titanic would show, you never call a ship unsinkable. But the night of January 13th, 2012 would not only challenge that, but become the most infamous ship disaster right next to the Titanic. The Carnival Corporation is the largest cruise line in the world, and in 2000 they acquired Costa. In the mid-2000s, they ordered the Concordia class, which would be based off the Conquest class. In fact, it was also decided to further make the class even larger with the Carnival Splendor, but Carnival never got another Concordia class ship. Anyways, the first of the class was the Costa Concordia, which was put into service in the mid-2000s and was very popular. On January 13th, 2012, the ship left port on a cruise that would pass by the island of Isola del Giglio, an island that would later become famous. Everyone was looking forward to the cruise and so far having a great time, exploring and seeing what the Concordia had to offer. On that same night, a navigation error had brought them closer to Isola del Giglio as they had planned. The captain was out to dinner, however this was common practice and was not out of the ordinary. The bridge crew missed it in the water, but there was a rock right in front of them. The crew noticed and turned the ship immediately. However, it was not fast enough, and a Titanic-like scenario happened, where the crew thought they were fine, but in reality, under the waterline, the ship had hit rocks. As a result, now the Concordia was going to lose power pretty soon, and a rock was jabbed into the hull. The watertight compartments began to flood, more than the Concordia could handle. This is also a lot like Titanic. The disaster, by the way, was very confused with Titanic, and it is known as Titanicization. Anyways, the power soon goes out to the Concordia, and the passengers are now trapped in darkness. Almost. The emergency generators quickly came on, but do not have enough power to keep the ship going on its normal route, and the captain decides to bring the ship into shore for an evacuation. The captain brings the ship into shore, however it is still sinking, and quickly it takes on a 25-degree list. The passengers then begin to make their way to their master stations, and an evacuation is called. The locals begin helping those on the island, and meanwhile everyone inside is pretty much freaking out. After rolling completely onto its side, the Concordia then slips down a hill and begins taking its final plunge. Many people are still trapped inside the ship, however, all the lifeboats have left the Concordia at this time. Or so they thought. The Concordia finally rests on the rocks. And so now, people climb onto the side to help those on the side. After the 80 or so people were rescued off the side of the ship and it had came to a final halt, divers found 32 bodies inside the ship. That same month, the whole world was treated to what a sunken cruise liner looked like. There have only been 2 modern cruise liners to sink, and these are, of course, the Costa Concordia and the Sea Diamond, which my parents were on before it sank. To discover more about how the media confused the Titanic disaster and the Costa Concordia disaster, I encourage you to watch Great Big Move's video on this topic. And it'll also cover why it is very, very wrong to compare disasters to others. A plan was devised to raise the Costa Concordia, tip it over, and tow it away for scrap. It was estimated to be over $1 billion, but they would never believe what it actually would cost. After the tanks were strapped to the Concordia and the salvage operation was a success, it was estimated to be over $2 billion, which is 5 times the amount it cost to actually build the ship in the first place. On a further note, Captain Scatina was sentenced to prison for 16 years, which he is still serving. Probably the best place to be at these times. After the Concordia was successfully towed away for scrap, it taught the cruise industry that they should be more safe. The cruise industry is now learning more and more with the COVID-19 pandemic, and I assume the Concordia is not the only thing that'll cause the cruise industry to change forever. This video premiered on January 13th, 2021, the anniversary of the sinking of the Costa Concordia. This video is in tribute to the 32 people that perished along with the ship.